Welcome back. Chef Ryan DiPersio here. Today, we are going to do another recipe. Only this time, we are not going to do a pantry raid. And the reason being is because I mentioned what would you like to see about a week ago or so. And by a landslide, the ricotta and gnocchi at Fascino has been a huge request. So today, we are going to make the gnocchi. Now, a lot of people ask me, they're like, how do you make this? What kind of potatoes you use, blah, blah. I don't use potato. It is 100% ricotta. And that's why they're so light. So what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna show you how to actually make the gnocchi to start. So this morning, which I wanna say about 6 hours ago, and you can do this overnight if you'd like, I took fresh ricotta and I put it in a colander over a bowl and I drained the ricotta. And the reason I did that is because the ricotta obviously holds a lot of moisture. And we want to get most of that moisture out. And when you get most of that moisture out, the less flour you need. Now, the recipe calls for a certain amount of flour, but because you're not sure about the perfect or the exact amount of moisture content, it could go a cup less or a cup more of flour. So our recipe's pretty on point. We've made it a million times, but sometimes you may need a little more flour. Sometimes you may need a little less. You just got to get that technique down when you're rolling it, and you'll know what the touch is. All right, so now that this has been draining, we're gonna put this in a bowl, okay? And when we dump that in a bowl, we can get rid of our colander and our other bowl. And we're going to add 2 eggs. This is 3 pounds of ricotta, all right? We're gonna add 2 eggs. And we're gonna hit it with salt and pepper. Okay, our salt, and then nutmeg. Now, at the restaurant, we use fresh whole nutmeg, so we grate it fresh. I am cooking from home, so I'm using some pre-ground nutmeg. This is a really very floral, and it's perfect for the cheese part. And we're gonna mix everything really well, okay? And we have to get the eggs, the salt, the pepper, and the nutmeg incorporated before we start adding the flour, okay? And then also we're going to add some Parmesan cheese as well. Make sure that gets nice and incorporated as well, all right? The dryness of the Parmesan is gonna help soak some of the moisture in as well, okay? So what we're gonna do is once we have the egg, salt, pepper, nutmeg, and Parmesan fully incorporated, then we can start folding in the flour. This is just unbleached flour, okay, all purpose. And we're gonna do a little bit at a time. And you just fold it in, just like that. Nice and slow, or you're gonna have flour just going all over like you're LeBron James. You know what I mean? We don't want that. As cool as it is, we don't want that. So we'll just add a little more flour. And what you're looking to do is you're looking to create a dough that comes together, but it's still slightly sticky, okay? Like I said, the less amount of flour that you have to put into the dough or into the cheese, the lighter the gnocchi will be. And that's like basically, what has made my gnocchi so popular is that everybody says, I can have this gnocchi, a full bowl of it and still be fine. When you eat a whole bowl of potato gnocchi, you're like, ooh, that's too much. All right, so we're gonna add a little more flour, and we're gonna keep incorporating the flour slowly, okay, just like that. And what you wanna do is you wanna take your hand and go like this. And if your hand comes out kind of dry, slightly wet, but it's not sticking, that's what you're looking for. All right, now, to roll them out, we're gonna take our board, hit it with some flour, hit your hands with some flour, and then you're gonna take a piece of, maybe like a 4-ounce piece, roll it in your hand first, then roll it. Now, I'm not putting pressure. I'm letting the roll do the work. And when the roll does the work, it starts to, you see it's making almost like this long bar right here, okay? And you wanna make sure that it's even, that the bar is even, and that there's not a lot of cracks. Once you get that, you know, what is this? It's about an inch round. Then you can take like a bench scraper and you just go, just like that, all right? And I have some parchment paper lined with some flour, and I'm just gonna let them go over there. And I'm gonna put this in the fridge, and I'm gonna let them get nice and cold, and we're gonna have a pot of boiling water, and we'll blanch those once we're done rolling all these out. All right, so you see the gnocchi are rolled out. I had them sitting in the fridge for about 30 minutes. I have a pot of boiling salted water, okay? And then I have an ice bath right here. Now, the cool thing about this is, especially for a home cook, is that you're able to pre-make these, and then you're gonna sear them in a pan when you wanna serve them. So you can pre-make these a day in advance, you know, keep them oiled up, keep them in the fridge for the next day. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this gnocchi that I've already rolled out. We're gonna take the parchment paper, pinch it on both sides, just like that, little trick to get all your gnocchi in the pan at the same time so it has the same cooking time. All right, right into the salt water, nice and slow. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to just shake it up a little bit. And what you want is you want the gnocchi to rise to the top. And when it rises to the top, it's going to be almost cooked. Once it rises, I'm gonna let it sit for another maybe 15 seconds. And what you'll see is if you cut the gnocchi in half, you'll see that the dough is either cooked or you'll see that the dough is still a little under. If it's a little under, leave it in for a few more seconds. All right, and I have an ice bath right here. So what we're gonna do is once it comes up and they're cooked, we're gonna put them in the ice bath. We're gonna get them nice and cold, and then we'll drain them once they're cold. We'll hit them with some nice olive oil, and then we'll set them aside until we're ready to make the dish. We still have to make the sauce as well, the sweet sausage bolognese. So let's get this gnocchi moving. So I'm gonna take the spoon. They started to rise, and I'm just gonna give it a nice little stir. Make sure that some come off the bottom, all right? And now I'm gonna transfer them into the ice bath, all right? So you just drain them right out, just like that, into the ice bath. This is gonna shock them. The ice bath is gonna shock them and stop the cooking process. And this is the reason you wanna do this is because we have one more process after we make the sauce to really pick up the gnocchi to serve them. And that's to pan saute them. And that's what makes them like puff up, make them nice and airy. All right, now it's time for sauce. Sweet sausage bolognese. It's a play on words. Bolognese traditionally is with ground meat, but we are using sausage, sweet sausage, that has been broken up. So what I do is I like to take the whole sausage and just squeeze it right out of the casing into little nuggets like that, and then we're going to sear them, okay? So we're gonna take our pan that's been on medium to high heat, and we're gonna take our sausage and we're gonna put it right into the oil, all right? Okay. And we wanna get like a nice caramelization on this sausage, okay? So, and the reason why I don't use ground pork is because then it's gonna look like ground meat, and I don't want that. When you buy sausage and take it out of its casing, it's a little more emulsified on the inside, so when you make these little nuggets, they stay together, and I want that. Almost like a sausage sandwich minus the casing. All right, so we're getting our sear. We have one Vidalia onion, and we're just going to cut it in half lengthwise and then slice it nice and thin, just like that. Perfect. Set that aside. We have some garlic. We have some white wine, a little Pinot Grigio. We just need a dry white wine to glaze. And then I have canned San Marzano tomatoes. You're supposed to be hand crushed. If you don't want to get messy, I like to take a spatula or anything that is kind of like long that you can just kind of crush the tomatoes like that. If you don't mind getting messy, then you're just going to get your hands in there and you're going to crush them. All right. So the sausage right here is getting nice and crispy. It's going to take about like 2-3 minutes. All right, so your sausage is nice and caramelized. We're going to add our sweet onions. And the cold onion is going to bring down the temperature in the Le Creuset. But what you want to do is you want to incorporate it in with the sausage. And you're obviously, when you're cooking the sausage, you're rendering some of the fat out of it. But you want to keep that in. It's not a lot. It's just the perfect amount that when you put your onions in, the onions absorb it and that flavor of the sausage gets into the onions as well. So after a few minutes, your onions are going to get nice and soft. Then you're going to add your garlic, okay? And I'm just using a cheese grater for this. You can chop it up. You can go, Goodfellas style and use a razor. Whatever you want. We just want the garlic to incorporate into the sauce nice and small, okay? Once you get that garlic in, you're going to toast it in the pan nice and quick. Then you're going to deglaze with your white wine. When you deglaze with your white wine, you want to take your spoon or your spatula and kind of scrape the bottom. There is a thing called a fond that creates on the bottom of the pan from all the particles that come off of the onions and the sausage and everything. And that's where a lot of the flavor's at. So when you deglaze, you're releasing those particles, but some still stick. So if you stir them nice and with a little bit of oomph into it, you'll get that to come off and incorporate into the sauce. Now we're going to add our crushed tomatoes. Okay, just like that. We're going to lower our heat to low. Now to a simmer, and we're going to simmer it for about 20 minutes on low. It's a quick sauce. And then after that, we're going to get our gnocchi going. Now that we have our sauce ready, we have the gnocchi that we blanched and we chilled. We have a pan going. It's about medium to high heat. I put olive oil and a little bit of butter. When the butter starts to turn brown is when you want the gnocchi to go in, all right? If you put it in beforehand, the gnocchi is going to stick to the pan. I have a non-stick pan, keep that in mind. So that's very important. You have a non-stick pan and that your butter is almost brown before the gnocchi goes in, okay? Once you put your gnocchi in, we're gonna let it sear. We have them searing for about a minute. Give them a little bit of a shake like that. As you can see, they got nice and seared. Now I'm gonna add the sauce. We're gonna add our sausage bolognese. As you can hear Willow in the background asking for mommy, who is my cameraman. All right, camera woman. A little pat of butter. We're gonna season it with salt and pepper. Toss it up. Lower your heat. And do you guys want to have some gnocchi? Okay, so once your butter melts, toss it up right in the bowl.
I'm gonna let this cool down.
And then we're gonna top it with some pecorino romano.
And then let it cool down, right?
No, we're gonna serve it.
No, it needs to be cooled down.
All right, guys, come on over. Biggest judges ever of ricotta gnocchi are here. Let's ask them. Who would like cheese?
Me.
Okay, a little cheese for you. Would you like cheese, sir? No cheese. Okay, go for it. Try it out. Let me know what you think. Go ahead.
Okay.
Who makes the best gnocchi? What restaurant?
Me. No. It was
Fascino?
Yeah, Fascino.
All right. I think I got a thumbs up. Thanks for checking out the ricotta gnocchi. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's under Ryan DiPersio. I'll see you on the next recipe.